We are here on July 8th in Los Angeles, California, at beautiful UCLA, where it's a beautiful sunny day, as it usually is. We're about to hear from Nora, who's going to introduce her study buddy. And your time begin.
Okay, so today I'm going to introduce to you my study buddy.
Your outline. Stay right there. Do you have your outline?
Yeah, I do.
Excellente. Okay.
Okay. Today I'm going to introduce to you my study buddy, Min, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about her past and her present and her future. The first thing I said to Min when I met her was, I respect you. So this seems to me a very strange kind of introduction to someone, but it's kind of one of also the most unique introductions I've ever experienced with someone. And so I found it kind of interesting that I had to eventually know and learn more about her. So Min is a very friendly person and she's very open, and I think that you would like to meet her because I found it kind of enjoyable doing our first experiment together. Although the experiment could have turned out quite awkward at times, it wasn't. So I found it kind of just went smoothly, and I was comfortable speaking to her and telling her that I respect her, and although I hadn't actually known her at that point. So the first thing I'm going to talk to you about is a little bit about Min's past. So she was born in Seoul, South Korea, and she moved to America when she was 4 years old. So when she was younger, she was very into fashion, and one of the things she told me that she used to change her outfit like 5 to 8 times a day when she was growing up, and she used to always get into art studios and fashion schools, and she was a very like charismatic child, and she would she took a fun fact about her that she happened to mention to me is that she took, I think it was an intelligence quiz or something, and she got in the top 3% or something. And like just little strange things that I found quite funny. And yeah, so then she moved to America, and then in her present, something I'd like to speak to you about is the fact that right now she's kind of in the middle of trying to figure out what her major is going to be. So Min right now she's studying fine arts, and she wants to move into the communications major. And she spoke to me about how she isn't pleased with the whole faculty and the way people kind of, are studying a fine arts major right now, and so it made her very physically and mentally stressed, and so she decided to speak to her family and her friends, and she decided to move to a communications major. So, and also she had kind of a fallout with one of the professors at the fine arts department, and that's something she's told me has moved her to kind of reevaluate her decision about her major. So that's something that she's currently in the present kind of thinking about. In the future, she spoke to me about wanting to take a year off to intern, and then she wants to get into fashion again, as she used to in the past, and she wants to, I think, study fashion in grad school. And so I've told you a little bit about her past and her present and her future, and yeah, this is my study buddy, Min.
Let's start in the rear today. Here. Yes, what'd you like?
I like that you tied
Say your name, please.
I'm Nick.
Hi, Nick.
I like that you tied your future with the future with the past, saying like she did fashion, likes fashion, and that she wants to do it in her future.
Okay, thank you, Nick. Improvement?
Hi, I'm Fernando.
Hi, Fernando.
I really liked your speech, but I thought maybe you could have, at the beginning, put in a quote or something that would have, grabbed the audience's attention.
Yes. Nora, let me give you some feedback on your speech. You're a nice speaker, you're fluent, and once you got going and got over your nervousness, you were fine. You were a little bumpy in the beginning. We want to start our speeches to grab our audience, to draw them in, to make them want to listen with a poem, a quote, a story, or a joke. You just went right into your speech, see? You had a kind of I respect you and a kind of a story that's how I first met my study buddy. But it got kind of mixed up and messed around. So have something that you can tie back to in the end, because you didn't have see, when you don't have an intro, you don't have a tie back. So you don't have any bookends to help the whole thing hang together.
Right.
So that was problematic. You said, I want to tell you about my study buddy, but you didn't say past, present, future, the preview. So give us an overview, make a covenant with your audience what you're going to do. So you told us about her past, being born in South Korea and into fashion, and being certified a genius at 3 years old. And those were all fun facts. And I would have liked a little story, but those still were good fun facts. Remember, we were looking to tell stories about our study buddy. And I want you to, more with your voice, Nora, put more emphasis on the narrative of where you are in your speech. So you say, now that I've told you about her past, let's go on to the present. Okay. In the present, she was an arts major. But there was a really nasty professor that didn't think she was diddly and didn't like her art and wouldn't let her do anything. And tell us the story of her falling out with this professor and how bad it was. Make a story of it. See? And then tell us the solution was she was applying to become a comm studies major. And that will, her parents, she talked to her parents and her counselor, and that seems to be a better fit for her. And then you would say, so now that I told you about her past and her present, let's go on to the future with your voice. So we know right where you are, Nora. And then you said she's going to take a year off, she wants to study fashion and travel the world. Then you said, in summary, I've told you about her past, present, and future. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Nora. What was missing?
Tie back.
Tie back. We didn't get a tie back. You said your goals, Nora, were to have better pacing, to project your voice, and to follow the prompt. How'd it go?
I hope I accomplished number 2.
Yeah.
And I need to work on 1 and 3, I guess.
Yes, but you did a nice job. Keep up the good work, and I'm glad you're feeling better. Thank you, Nora. Okay, there we go. You're supposed to sit up there so we can see you. Yeah. So we can put a face with the facts. Okay, she stands before you managing attention, communicating respect, fighting friendly eyes near the front and the center. Say your name. It was only 309 too, by the way. Say your name, feel the love. Start your speech.
Hi, I'm Min.
Hi, Min.
At almost every point of our day, we are immersed in different cultures and diversity, which includes smells, faces, attitudes, beliefs, rituals, values, traditions. This was a quote said by Rabda Abdel Fattah, and although I have no idea who that is, I'm pretty sure I agree with him 100% on what he said. And just like he said, even right now during UCLA summer session, we are faced with different cultural diversity everywhere we go, even in classrooms, the Boardwalk, just around school. I mean, like, after all, UCLA promotes diversity. And so, today I would like to introduce to you my study buddy, Noor. And I think you'll all enjoy meeting or hearing about Noor because she is a very diverse person herself. And she's even from a very different culture and background than from each and every one of us. And so I would like to start off with Noor's past. Noor is Egyptian, and she was born in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, along with her younger sister and younger brother. Mm-hmm. And she's been living there since she was 1 up until she was 18, and she attended the international school of Jeddah, I think, and because she was given this opportunity to study at an international school, which is also filled with diversity, she made 3 best friends from all different sorts of places, like Australia, Lebanon, and Indonesia. In fall 2012, after graduating, she decided to attend American University in Cairo. I think that's how you say it. And while studying there, although she was in the same country as where she was born in, she just kind of felt a culture shock from all the differences that just like small places gave her. But she grew to love Cairo and eventually really liked it there. And then now moving on to Noor's present. She is currently attending UCLA summer sessions here with us and is enrolled in communication studies and film tech, and so she's doing those 2 classes, and she just decided to come to LA because she wanted to see what all the fuss about California was, and currently she's enjoying her stay. And moving on to the future, Noor is also interested in fashion, as I am, and she's always been an artsy person. She was an architecture major, but then she's transferred into film and advertising and writing as a double minor. And she's hoping in the future to get her master's in London, and then hopefully getting into the fashion publication. And she's very into minimalistic fashion, and she really portrays that in all her outfits that she wears to class, and I've been noticing that, and that's also very much like me, so I thought that we have that in common. And that was Noor's past in a very different environment than us, her present, which is currently here at UCLA with us, and her future, in which I hope she succeeds in her fashion industry aspect. And just like I said, Noor is very diverse in both her cultural and knowledge and interests. And I hope you enjoy my study buddy. Here is Noor Hassan.
Thank you. Okay, we're somewhere behind me. Let's give some feedback, please.
I'm Jenny.
Hi, Jenny.
It was really well structured. It was easy to follow along, and you try to move 3 places, and
Good, thank you. Yeah, and I apologize. I got so busy writing comments to you, I didn't move the camera, but I've got a camera assistant now that's going to help me. So some of your YouTube film will be blank tonight. Sorry.
Hi, man. I'm Nikki.
Hi, Nikki.
And I thought it was actually really great. The only suggestion that I would make to you is that in the beginning you give a quote and then you said that you didn't really know who the author was. And I think for the next time it would be a good idea to maybe just look up like a very small piece of information, just, oh, he was an author, he was a philosopher or something, just to give it a little bit more credibility.
Yeah, man, let's start with that. You always want to have some information about your author. If you don't say anything. Just say, Randa Abdul Fattah. But it's good to look that man or woman up to know a little bit about him or her, to give them more credibility so we know, this is a writer, an author, that sort of thing. Your setup was pretty good. You left off the preview. I'm going to tell you about her past, present, and future. Get that in, because that gives your audience a roadmap of where you're going, man, and that's what you really want to do, so they have an idea of what's coming in the speech. I like your stress on the diversity. We pride ourselves here at UCLA in having a very diverse campus where we all try to get along, and you tied back to that nicely in the end, and so you had a nice tie back to that, and so that was good. So you told us about her past. She's Egyptian, grew up in Saudi Arabia, sorry to hear that, and speaks fluent Arabic, French, and English. Then you told us that she fortunately went to a British school, and that she has her best friends from Australia, Indonesia, and Lebanon, which are very diverse, and that's good. And then she went to the American University in Cairo and had cultural shock in moving to Cairo. This was all good. Little launder list. I think a little story of the cultural shock of what happened when she first saw what, or what was the cultural shock when she saw this or that, or did this or that, or was free to be this or that. That would have been interesting to see and hear, because remember, we're looking for stories, not launder lists, okay? Stories, 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 stories. Remember, success comes from stories. A little bit more emphasis, men, with your voice. You had, now let's go to the present, but you did it in a mantra. Now let's go to the present. Nora is currently attending summer sessions. Say, now let's go to the present, emphatic, so we can follow you a little bit better. Studying filmmaking, interesting one to find out about what all the to-do was about California. Tell us the story. Did she go to Disneyland, Magic Mountain, Universal Studios? What has she done? Give us some stories of what she's discovered here in California. See? That would have helped draw it out rather than just give us a laundry list. On now the future, you related it to her, which I liked, about her double major and wanting to go into advertising, film, and minor and work with publishing, fashion industry. And that was very informative. And it's hard to get a story about the future, so that was fine. You finally, in your summary, I liked your summary very much. It was detailed. It wasn't just past, present, future, but it gave us details about her past, present, future. That was good. The conclusion was good, and your tie back to the diversity of the culture was good. Your goals: have a better introduction, speak with more dynamics, and have more eye contact. How'd it go, man?
I think 1 and 3 was okay.
Well, what could you do better?
I think I need to work on the dynamic thing more. Because number 2 didn't really work out as well.
How will you work on the dynamics, man?
I guess like you mentioned, I should be less monotone while I'm transitioning.
Right.
And I
even in the middle, emphasize some key concepts. Don't be afraid to be emphatic. It makes you more interesting to listen to. See? Okay, you did a nice job, and thank you for getting the introduction out of the way. And thank you for doing so many of them. You have a question. Speak.
Yeah, it's about the time limit on the film speech. Is it supposed to be around 5 minutes, or is 5 minutes the maximum or the minimum?
Yeah, well, I'm not anal about it, but it was supposed to be 3 to 5 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And this film speech is supposed to be 4 minutes, but we'll see. Most people can't get it in that amount of time, so we'll see. All right, let me go to any volunteers. That was 412. That was 412. Any volunteers?
Yes.
No, I don't want you to go first. I want you to learn from others.
I also can learn from others.
Okay. Okay, sorry. Okay, is Zheng Cheng Zhao here? No, dropped. Okay, good. How about Yi Yang Z? So Ying Wang? Davanchu.
I think this is section.
I think that's a different.
Yeah, oh, that's the wrong section.
Oh,
Oh yeah, I put the 1 to 3 in. Wait, do I have 1 to 3? I'm on a roll. Oh, wrong section. Okay, good. Yeah, okay, we'll do this one. Okay. Sorry about that, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, we'll start with Elaine. Oh, Elaine's not in the care? Okay, no Elaine, okay. Matthew! Hi, Matthew.
Hi, Professor Miller.
How you doing?
Fantastic.
That's good, yeah. Well, I should get my stapler out. You notice Matthew has a beautifully styled outline in 7 parts, a review from the New York Times, a reputable publication, and a self-evaluation. All 3. Good job, Matthew. Oh, you're tall. Okay. He's managing attention. Communicating respect non-verbally to everybody in the room, saying to himself, I respect my audience. Finding friendly eyes near the front and the center, say your name, feel the love. Start your speech.
Hello, my name is Matthew.
Hi, Matthew.
According to Jeanne Moreau, who is a famous French actress, cinema is the mirror of the world. And this is true because films have the ability to move audiences through the stories that they tell, and they help us remind us of emotions that we face in the real world. And so today I'll be sharing with you all a film that has recently moved me, Monsters University. In this film, the protagonist, Mike, chases his dream of graduating from the scaring program at Monsters University despite his lack of natural talent. This film made me feel 3 distinct emotions. It made me feel jealous, it made me feel disappointed, but it also made me feel proud. This film covers a variety of themes that I know you'll find interesting. However, New York Times film critic Manola Dargis claims that stirring emotional complexity is missing from this film. However, I disagree with her belief that this film's simplicity prevents audience members from emotionally connecting with it. So the first way that this film moved me was that it made me feel jealous. And this happened when Soli, who was another student in the scaring program, who has natural talent, was running around chasing pigs and having fun, while Mike had to study for his final exam. And this reminded me of how jealous I felt when I had to prepare extensively for a Spanish presentation I had to give. And I remember that I prepared for nights on end, but when I walked in on presentation day, I remember that the native speakers, they hadn't even given the presentation any thought, yet they did equally well. And so when I saw Mike studying while Soli was playing, it reminded me of how jealous I felt, because I had to put in so much effort and work, while other people could replicate my feat without trying at all. The next way that this film moved me was that it made me feel disappointed. And this happened when Mike was kicked out of the scaring program before he had a chance to take the final examination and to demonstrate what he had learned. And this reminded me of how I felt disappointed when my high school marching band traveled 6 hours to a tournament to compete. And the way that this tournament was set up was that there were 2 rounds, one that occurred in the morning and afternoon, and one that occurred in the evening. By the luck of the draw, our marching band was scheduled to perform at 9:30 in the morning. And obviously, nobody watches bands at 9:30 in the morning. And so we hoped that we would qualify for the second round so that we could perform for a packed stadium in the evening. However, as you might guess, we didn't qualify. And so when I saw Mike get kicked out of the scaring program before he had a chance to demonstrate himself, it reminded me how disappointed I felt when my marching band didn't get to show people all that we had accomplished despite all the preparation that we had put in advance. And so the final way that this film moved me was that it made me feel proud. And this happened when Mike and his fraternity were trespassing, and they got caught. But however, when they worked as a team, they were able to escape successfully. And this reminded me of how proud I felt of my National Honor Society club in high school and how our officer team drew together in times of trouble. And this happened when the school newspaper published on the front page an article that challenged our club's member selection procedures. And we felt that this was really negative and that it was uncalled for and that it was really bad for our reputation. However, in the end, we made it a positive because in an effort to improve our reputation, we drew together as an officer team and we really began working together. And one example of this was we started a tradition where we sold milk teas during finals week in an effort to fundraise for the Nepal earthquake relief efforts. And so in the end, we fundraised over $200. So when I saw that Mike's fraternity really drew together as a team, it reminded me of how proud I felt when my officer team really drew together and helped fundraise for this charity. And so in summary, I've told you about how Monsters University has really moved me in 3 distinct ways. It made me feel jealous when I had to put in extensive preparation for my Spanish presentation. It reminded me of how I felt disappointed when my marching band couldn't perform for a large audience. And it reminded me of how I felt proud when my officer team drew together and we accomplished great things such as selling milk teas. There should be no doubt in this room that this film really moved me. Just like Jean Moreau says, cinema is the mirror of the world. And for this reason, I think that film critic Manola Dargis is wrong, because all films, including Monsters University, have the capacity to serve as mirrors. And in fact, I just showed that Monsters University served as a mirror for me, because it allowed me to reflect on the emotions that have been relevant in my life. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you. Here? Yes, please.
Hello, I'm Sharon.
Hi, Sharon.
This was really good. Your structure was, you could follow your structure really well.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Sharon. Improvement?
Hi, I'm Joseph.
Hi, Joseph.
Actually, you did a very good job.
You did a very good job. Can you think of anything you could do better?
Very
He was perfect,
Yeah.
just like Jesus. Okay, thank you. Yeah, Joseph. Let me give you some feedback. Matthew, it nearly was perfect. I'll give you a few things to look at, but I was really impressed with your work. In particular, I loved your first quote, which was so appropriate to the assignment that we were trying to do when you said cinema is the mirror of the world. This is true because the film had the ability to move us as viewers by telling stories that remind us of emotions that we faced in the world. Absolutely right. That's what it does. It mirrors. And that's why it has a universal language and it holds up mirrors and people bring different experiences and it brings out different emotions in people. So that was a good opening quote. It grabbed people, it drew them in, it made them want to listen. Your thesis preview was excellent. I loved your emphatic style of delivery. It's getting better. You're emphasizing key words. That was excellent. I liked the way you quoted the New York Times and disagreed with the New York Times. I do it every morning when I read it. I almost have a heart attack when I read some of their editorials, frankly. The first way the film moved you, jealousy. I didn't think this was your strongest emotion. I don't know why you're jealous of the native speakers, but I guess you were jealous because they could slack off, right? And that was your jealousy of them. They could just slack off and come in and do the assignment and they didn't have to work at it. So that was your jealousy. I got that, but it was more cerebral than felt to me. Your disappointment, though, was good. Your traveling marching band picked an early morning slot with no audience, and so you were flat and didn't advance, and you were very disappointed. I felt that. That was good. On being proud over the National Honor Society, over being raked over the coals in the school newspaper, and then coming back with your selling tea or something. Is that what you sell?
Yeah, milk tea.
Milk tea. No, not just tea, milk tea. Yeah. Milk tea. And you sort of redeemed yourself, and you felt proud that you all hung together in this face of adversity, and I think that was it. I got your feeling of being proud, and so that was good. Your summary and conclusion was excellent, and your tieback was perfect. Your goal, you said, was systematically to make eye contact around the room. I want to talk to you about that. To make vocal variety and speak emphatically, and to have all the elements of the speech, especially the moral of each story. Let's talk about these three in a little detail, if we might. Let's start at the top. When you said systematically make eye contact around the room, what did you mean?
My goal was to plan out in my speech in certain sections to look at certain parts of the room.
Yeah.
But I felt that I was kind of thrown off because I wasn't expecting to go first, so I didn't actively try to do that. But
Yeah.
I think that was what I was hoping to do, but I didn't get a chance to do it this time.
Okay. The reason I was worried about systematic is some students have misinterpreted what some of the text, the Zarefsky text in particular, has said about going down the row, and you don't want to do that. You want to go way over to the new guy and look at him and draw him, and he seems to be, I don't know. By the way, we have a rule, no laptops open and no phone, no texting during class. Yeah, put it away, thank you. And draw people in that aren't quite with you, see, and draw them in. And when you walk one way, still glance over at the new guy and draw him back in, even though you may be losing him a little, bring him in, see, like that. So you said to the vocal variety and the emphasis was good. Let's talk about the third one, the moral of each story. Let's ask around the room. Hans, what was the moral of the story that he gave for his jealousy?
I didn't quite feel there's a moral.
What?
I didn't feel like it has a moral of that story.
You didn't get the moral from the story. Okay, so tell us the moral that you were trying to communicate.
Well, for this speech, I thought that the moral would be appropriate to tie back between the film and how I felt. So I just kind of recapped how I related to how the character felt in the film and how we both felt jealous.
So you were just saying there was a synchrony between you and the character.
Yeah.
Yeah. I thought you more meant you were going to tie some moral, like it was kind of silly of me to be jealous of native speakers. They couldn't help it. They're native. They were born that way, right?
Yeah. I was trying to go for like an idea where I was like connecting by emotions to the film because I thought that was like the theme of my whole speech. So that was what I was trying to go for the morals.
Okay, let's go for Nikki. What did you get as his moral on being disappointed?
I'm being disappointed.
Yeah.
Well, I felt like he tied it, like what he said what he was trying to do. He tied it really back to how the characters felt and then how he felt in the
Right, he said, like Mike, we weren't given a chance to do what we can do. So you did, that was your conception of the moral of tying it to that. I'm meaning moral the way Steve Jobs meant it, to say what the story adds up to is not just comparing it with something else, but kind of what this means in the overall arching. What's my generalization that I bring out of this? Like, you got to be good even when it's cold in the morning. For example, for my debaters, when we're on our way to the Saturday morning meets, I have them warm up in the car and do mouth drills in the car so they won't be cold. So they won't be, because we're often sluggish on Saturday mornings. So I make them debate in the car going to the meet. So they get to the meet, they're warm, see? So that's just an example of something you learn. I don't know how warm you can get with an empty stadium, but you know,
Okay.
but some moral I got of what you learned about
Okay.
performing in front of an empty stadium. I don't know. Okay, you did a nice job, Matthew, though. You did a wonderful job. Thank you. Okay, that'll bring us to Tao. Okay, that was 5:19. Thank you. Hi, Tao. Tao gives me a 7-part outline, self-evaluation, and a movie review. Good job, Tao. Tao, you're a little close. Step back. Yeah. She stands before you managing attention, communicating respect non-verbally, saying to herself, I respect my audience. Finding friendly eyes near the front and the center, say your name, feel the love. Start your speech.
Hi, my name is Tao.
Hi, Tao.
Did everyone watch a movie that touched your soul? Did everyone remember it for a longer time? I think the answer is yes. I watched some movie, I forgot most of them. But after I watching Titanic, I have a complicated feeling. Excited, worried, and sad interweave together. Today I want to share with you the film that really moved me, Titanic. It made me excited, it made me worried, and it made me sad. This film deals with some significant themes that I think you might be interested in. In the New York Times, Janet Marsden says, Titanic is the first spectacle in this decade. First, the first way this film moved me was that it made me feel excited. The incident in the film that made me feel excited is when thousands of people embarked on Titanic and they waving their hands to their family member. And the reason that this incident made me feel excited is reminds me of leaving my homeland and coming to United States. I still remember the day I embarked at the airplane in China. I was so excited. On the airport in China, I carry a 50-pound baggage.
Wow.
As usually I could not handle an object that was 50 pounds. But on that day, 50 pounds, a piece of cake, I handled it and carried it on myself without others' help. As the airplane took off, my heart pumped faster, faster, and faster. And it took 13 hours from China to come to US. And for these 13 hours on the airplane, I could not fall asleep and even to a rest. I keep saying to myself, drawing pictures like the sun, ocean, airplane coming to United States. Inside, I'm shouting, America, I'm coming! And when this happened to me, I felt excited and energized, just like the Popeye sailor man after eating the spinach.
Mm-hmm.
And secondly, this film made me feel made me feel worried. The incident in this film made me worried is the captain did not live and fell with this Titanic. The reason this incident made me feel worried is that reminds me of my father. My father is also a captain. He says anytime, anywhere, and captain must be the last person to leave the ship. Once in the East Ocean, in the East Seas in China, the tropical storm came. The tropical storm hit the ship and made the ship shaking and sway the ship from left to right. My father tried to make the ship approach to the shore and try to locate a safe place to drop the anchor. And everyone on the ship put on the life vest and all the lifeboats were ready. People prepared to abandon the ship and escape by these leaf boats. Fortunately, the storm stopped and they were safe. When this happened, I feel worried. If this storm become stronger and lasting for a longer time, and if my father could not control the situation at that time, the ship might sink just like Titanic, and he would not come back, and I might lose him. Every time I think about this, I feel worried and nervous. I could not breathe. My hands shake like unconsciously. And the third way this film moved me is the third way this film moved me made me feel sad. The incident made me feel sad was when the mother tell the story to two children on the bed, and the senior couple on the bed, and then the water flows in and fill up the entire room. And the reason I feel sad because it reminds me of my grandmother. My grandmother fell down and hit her head, and she received a head surgery. This surgery succeeded but triggered her cardiac problem. Her heart muscle is so weak to sustain this pumping, which would cause cardiac arrest. In the hospital, I hold her hands and call her names, and she opened her eyes and could not speak a word, just looking at me. And for a while, her eyes half closed and then completely closed, and just passed in front of me. Tears streamed down my chest and fell on her hands and on the bed. When this happened to me, I felt sad and helpless, and my heart hurt. My family did everything, like medicine, surgery, Chinese medication, but nothing could help my grandmother, and the result was not changed. Just like the mother's children, the senior couple in the Titanic, they could not do anything. They just waiting. And in summary, I already told you 3 ways this film moved me. It made me feel excited. It made me feel worried, and it made me feel sad. And after watching this Titanic, my mood fluctuated, like excited, happy, worried, nervous, and sad. I don't remember some movie that I watched in the past, but I could not forget this complicated feeling Titanic gave me. Thanks.
Thank you. Okay, where are we? I skipped you before, so let's not skip you again. Yes.
I thought that.
Start with your name.
I'm Erin.
Hi, Erin.
I thought that your speech was really well structured.
Speech was well structured. Is there someone else in the back row?
I'm Min.
Hi, Min.
I think you could have done a tie back to the critique at the end. And yeah.
Okay, she kind of did a tie back. You started with a rhetorical question. By the way, I loved your speech. I thought your emotions were great, which was the main purpose of the speech, and you communicated them effectively, which pleasantly surprised me. I was worried about you. You asked a rhetorical question. You said, does everyone watch a movie that touches your soul? Do you remember it for a long time? Most people say yes. But your answer was, most movies I forget. But the Titanic, ooh, I remember that one. Right? That was the one that stuck in your soul. And it moved you. It made you feel excited, worried, and sad. So if you're going to start with a rhetorical question, say the rhetorical question again at the end as a tie back. Let's go through your speech. Your thesis preview was good. Your New York Times quote was a little bit fluffed over. Janet Maslin said, James Cameron has a ship to sink, but he also has more than calamity to explore in this gloriously retrograde new epic. Titanic is the first spectacle in decades. I agree with her at this point. So you left out the first part of the quote and just did the ending part of the quote, right? Because it was a real mouthful and a hard quote to repeat and say, right? Yeah. So you got the quote in. On your first emotion, excited, I felt your excitement. You were coming to China, you were reliving it, and I could feel it. It reminded me of the first time I was invited to China. I brought 6, count them, 6 bags, 6 large suitcases. Can you imagine how stupid that is? I travel heavy. It was stupid. And when my host saw all the bags I brought, he laughed at me. He said, "What are you doing?" You know, I was going to be there a month. 6 bags. Crazy. But I got your feeling of excitement. I, too, was excited to go to China, and I thought your excitement coming to America, you said you couldn't sleep. America, I'm coming. That was great. I felt your energy. I liked your analogy of Popeye the Sailor Man. That's something that everyone here, that was an illusion that people know for the most part, who Popeye the Sailor Man is eating his spinach. So that was good. Your second emotion was worried. And it reminds you of your father, and you told the story, a very good story, a dramatic story, of his ship almost sinking. And you didn't just say my dad's ship almost sank, you stretched it out. You said, if they put on their life jackets, it was dangerous. They tried to get to shore, they couldn't get to shore. Ooh, they made it. So that was good storytelling. So you stretched it out, that was good. But then you told us why your father's occupation worries you, because you know every time he goes out, he may not come back. That's why they pay him the big bucks, right? But he gets a little excitement out of it too, so don't forget that. He enjoys doing it. So every time I think about it, I feel worried, nervous, I cannot breathe, my hands shake unconsciously. And that's why I feel worried. It's good to sometimes return to the emotion and remind your audience what emotion you're communicating. On your third emotion, sad, you talked about the 2 children and the senior citizen about to drown on the bed, although you didn't make that completely clear. I think we all got it. You reminded us of a story of your grandmother falling down, of getting a heart attack from the hemorrhage in her head and cardiac problems, going into cardiac arrest, and dying while she was holding your hand. And I felt the tragedy of that moment and the sadness you felt as you felt her life slip away. And so you remembered that feeling. It was felt sensing, and you communicated it beautifully. That was very good. Your summary was fine. Your conclusion was fine. Your tieback was so-so. Could have been better. Could have been stronger. Like to see you go with a poem, a quote, a story, a joke, something else that's more vivid as a tieback. Let's talk about your kanais. You said, speak slowly, be louder, be organized, and be more dynamic. How'd it go?
I try to speak louder, speak slower and louder. That's probably fine. Organized is fine, but maybe I still not make it very clear.
Yeah.
Dynamic, I think the first one is good. The second one is a little bit worse, but the third one is also. I mean, the example I make in the speech.
I would just say what I said to you last time. Start slower so we get used to your pattern of speech. You picked it up a little in different places. You started to slur your words. Continue to work on your pronunciation. But you did a really excellent job, because what you did most was you understood the crux of the assignment, which was to practice communicating emotions, and you did that. The other stuff was all secondary. So thanks for a good job. Okay, let's hear from Sharon.
Do you want to volunteer?
Yes, you may.
Oh, also the time for that one.
What was the time?
6:29.
Yeah, a little long, 6:29.
Sure. You can do this a little bit because it's going to be long too.
Okay, you're gonna time?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks. See that Nikki brings me a 7-part. Notice how beautifully Nikki uses the Roman numerals. 1, introduction, see? Thesis. And learn. Significant statement. Main body, see? It's easier to remember that way, folks. Nor, yeah. See, that's the way to set it up. It's easier to work from and remember that way, rather than in long paragraphs. Summary, conclusion, tieback, self-evaluation, and we have the film review. Great. Okay, let me get you focused. She stands before you managing attention. He's got his phone out. Communicating respect non-verbally and meaning it, saying to yourself, I really respect my eyes, feet a little wider apart, finding friendly eyes near the front and center, say your name, feel the love, start your speech.
Hi everyone, I'm Nikki.
Hi Nikki.
Now Helen Keller, who most of you know as an American author who was also blind and deaf, once said that the best, most beautiful things in the world are things that can't be seen or felt or touched, but they are felt by the heart. And this quote has really resonated with me, and I feel like it really shows the importance and the power that human emotion can have. And I feel that a powerful tool that can bring out these emotions is film. It can make even the roughest and toughest kind of person feel emotions like anger. It can make you so sad that you bawl your eyes out. It can also make you bawl your eyes out from laughing so hard because the scene was just so funny. And today I want to talk to you about a film that really resonated with me and that made me feel all of these sorts of emotions. It's called 3 Idiots. It's a Bollywood film about 3 college roommates that sort of changed each other's lives in a really significant way. And I feel that film critic Lisa Searing really captures the essence of the film when she says that 3 Idiots, it conveys a really powerful message about how the value of, or how valuable friends are when they push you to your highest potential. And I felt like that was a really great way of conveying the message without really giving too much away. And I hope that after you hear about the different emotions that this film made me feel, you'll get a better idea of the story. Now, this film made me feel angry, it made me feel joyful, and it also at some points made me feel devastated. And it kind of took me on a roller coaster, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about each of those emotions that I felt on that roller coaster journey. Now, the first way that it made me feel, like I said, was anger. And the scene in the film that made me feel that way was when the parents of one of the 3 idiots, his name was Farhan, completely rejected him when he said that he wants to not be an engineer like they had hoped. He wanted to actually be a wildlife photographer. And the way that they reacted was with complete outrage. They didn't accept it at all. And the reason why it made me feel so angry and frustrated was because it reminded me of a time in my life when I actually came out to my parents and told them, I want to be a nurse, I don't want to go to med school. And I come from a family where they kind of give you the choice of becoming a doctor and a lawyer, and my oldest brother decided to become a lawyer, and I really didn't think that it was the right path for me. So when I saw that in the movie, it just made me feel that same frustration that I felt when I had to convince my parents for 2 years that this is really what was the right path for me. And so it was hard to watch the exact same experience happening in front of me in the movie. Now the second emotion that this film made me feel was joy. And I felt really joyful when I saw the two sort of main characters, the two love interests, fall in love with each other. The way that the scene is set up is the woman, Pia, wears an old dingy watch to her sister's wedding, and she's getting chastised for it, for not wearing something more beautiful. And the character who is her love interest, Rancho, comes up to her and says, you know what, I think your watch is beautiful, and you should be able to wear whatever you want. And this scene really resonated with me because I felt that it reminded me a lot of my significant other. His name is Sahil, and we've been dating for over 4 years now, and so throughout the years he's really been there for me at times when people have tried to bring me down, especially when my parents were kind of on me about my career path, and he was always there to support me and make me feel better in those instances, just like Pia felt when she was so hurt that people were getting mad about how she was dressing. So that scene really made me feel happy because it reminded me of all the love and support that I have in my life. Now, the final emotion that this film brought into me was devastation. And the reason why, or the scene in the film that made me feel that way was when one of the minor characters in the story who went to school with the 3 idiots actually took his own life, and it shows a scene where the father is crying over his son's grave. And the reason why this really hit home to me was because about 6 months ago, my youngest sister tried to take her own life, and and so it really hit home and reminded me about a time when I got that phone call that she was in the hospital, and it made me feel like all those emotions of the pain and the guilt that came with hearing that someone that you love so much was thinking about doing something like that. And luckily she's okay and getting help, but watching that scene really reminds me of a really dark time in my life, and so it really evoked a very strong emotion in me. So I have told you all about the 3 different emotions that this film has evoked into me. The first one was anger with the parents that were very unsupportive that I could relate to. The second one was joy from all the blessings and love that I felt in my life from the people that love me, that I could see in the characters. And the third one was finally devastation from reminded me of a really dark time in my life. And I hope that you all can see that this film really moved me in a lot of ways. And I really agree with Helen Keller's quote that the most beautiful and the best things in life really are the things that are felt from the heart. And this movie really does bring out a lot of those emotions that you feel straight in your heart. So I hope you can all go out and watch it because it's a really great film. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, where are we? Here? Here, where are we? Have we done everybody? Has everyone spoken? Have you? Yeah? Well, here? Over here, yeah. What did you like? Yeah, it's done. 7:12. Oh, ouch.
I think her.
Start with your name, please.
Hi, I'm Ryan.
Ryan?
Yeah.
Hi, Ryan.
I think her stories connect with the themes very well, and they are impressed.
Her stories were impressive. Yes. Thank you, Ryan. Improvement. I guess we're back up at the front.
Okay. Hi, my name is Matt.
Hi, Matt.
I think one thing that you could have improved on was just practice your intro a little more because you were a little bit cautious about it, and you were really thinking about the two quotes in particular. So I think if you practice maybe like once or twice more, then a little bit more fluent and a little bit of stronger start. But once you started telling your stories, you were really fluent and you were flowing, so it was good.
Yeah. I lovely speech, Nikki, by the way, but let's just jump in. Matt's right. You don't get a second chance to make a good first impression, the cliche goes. And it's, of course, right. And you, of course, want to practice your quote. So most people, I don't know what it is about quotes. They want to rush over them. They don't let people savor them and feel them and think about them. And in particular, when you watch yourself tonight on YouTube, you're going to see that you said, I'm not going to show you how you did it, but you said it out as an American author, also both deaf and blind. And that was good because not everyone, especially in an international setting, knows exactly who Helen Keller is/was. The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. Beat. They must be felt with the heart. Beat. In this quote, Helen Keller, say, give it some time to resonate with us so we grok it. We really understand. You were nervous.
Well, it was that, but also I was really worried about the time because I knew my stories kind of took up a lot, and I felt like that was the more important thing. So I think I was just trying to rush
through it. Yeah. The place to edit, everyone, just remember, edit out, plot summary, and cut your stories down a little. Spend the bulk of your time on emotions. Thesis preview was fine. Sixth statement good. Quote from Lisa Searing was good. I'd like to have heard you a little more overtly say, I completely agree. So that was clearer. You'll see it wasn't exactly clear in your presentation. I like your speaking style, though. You didn't exactly do the introduction in the same order, but you got it all in. So you have a good extemporaneous understanding of what you have to do. And excuse me, I think you've internalized the rubric of a good story, and you just kind of are creative with it as you move around, and that was fine. So let's talk about your emotions. Your first one was anger. And I must tell you, I didn't believe it 100%. I know you were probably pretty angry when your parents didn't accept you changing from being a doctor to a nurse. I know that probably happened, but I didn't feel it this time that strongly, and I wanted you to remember the anger you felt and describe it. I was so pissed. I was so goddamn mad at my mother and father for insisting I become a doctor and just live their dream and not mine, right? Stuff like that. And just remember the anger that you felt and feel it again so we can feel it, see? Then it becomes alive and real. So, I didn't buy it, but it was still okay. It was satisfactory, but I didn't buy it. The second, I'm just being honest with you, okay? The second one, joy, was better. And here it was, your boyfriend was a support mechanism for you in times when you didn't have any other support. And I would like to have seen your face light up when you remember that was your safe harbor, your one soft spot, your one great moment when you knew you could count on Billy or Sahil to be there, to have your back, right? And so a little bit more on remembering the emotion of his love and support and feeling it and showing it. Okay? Because I know it was there, but I didn't get it complete. Your best one, obviously, was your sister's suicide. You don't have to mention her by name. You could give her a fictitious name. But details and stories help make it real. Let's call her Lisa. The story was very touching and moving. I felt your anxiety, your pain. And folks, I use the analogy, what happens when you're about to be overcome with emotions, which will sometimes happen in your storytelling. You are almost overcome. The advice is keep it going. And I use the metaphor of the razor's edge. Have you ever walked on do you know what a razor's edge looks like? I know we don't use razors anymore, do we? Or do you know what a razor is? Do you know how thin a razor's edge is? Very thin. Do you know how hard it would be to walk on a razor's edge? It would be very difficult, right? And what we want to do is continue walking on the razor's edge between emotion and rationality. We don't want to fall off into emotion and become completely engulfed in our emotions where we lose it. We don't want to fall off into rationality where we're just completely a machine like they are in the South Campus of UCLA where they are devoid of emotion, right? We want to be a balanced human being where we have our intellect and our emotions in balance with each other. And that's why I say you walk the razor's edge and you keep it going. So you kept it going and you just said, excuse me, but you kept your composure, and that was marvelous. But did you feel the attention you had of your audience when you were reliving the emotions of your sister's attempted suicide? Did you feel the attention of your audience on you? See how it works? That's what I was trying to teach with this speech. Summary was fine. Conclusion was fine. Tieback was good. Eye contact for your canais. You stressed 3 times. Showing true and genuine emotions. Using a clear and confident voice. How did it go?
I thought eye contact actually went a lot better than it had previously. I could feel everyone watching me. This time a little bit more. I felt like I sort of drew people in with that, which I thought was good.
Good.
Showing true and genuine emotion. I guess I didn't do that as well as I wanted to in the first couple of stories, but I think I finally was able to do it in the last one.
Yeah.
And what was my last one?
Confident voice.
Confident voice. I think it was better than before because when I watched myself in the last one, I thought I was a lot more shaky. And I think I started out that way a little bit in the beginning, but eventually, once I got into my stories, I was able to get over it.
Good. Okay, you did a nice job today. Thank you. Oh. Yeah.
You want to go first?
Well, we're going to do one more, and then I'm going to talk about the PC speech a little bit because we have to start thinking about that next because that's coming up. Did you want to go next? Or who wants to go next?
I did also.
Ladies first.
Thank you. He's a gentleman. Yeah. Sadly, do you have your laptop with you? Oh, good, because I have to change the battery, and I can't load a single speech on YouTube, but I can give it to you at the end of class, just straight from the camera. So good. Just give me a moment to change the battery. Just a minute. Okay. So who are we hearing now? Aaron, we're Aaron Park. Okay. Let's see. Aaron, notice Aaron has a 7-part outline. 7 Roman numerals, yes. Good job, Aaron. Yes, very good. Notice it's easier to work from. Her canais are there. Her self-evaluation there, and her film review is there from the deep internet. Where is this from? Doesn't say.
Radio.
What?
National Public Radio.
National Public Radio. Okay, good. This we won't make it with this battery, so let's do something about it. We'll keep it on this one. Let's see. How's this battery? That's not good. Ooh, what was that? Speech. Thank you. Yeah, this is pretty good.